Okay, we are going to react to epic origin stories in history. Most epic origin stories in history. Now, it's been a while since I've done a reaction stream or reaction videos, but I hope this is some good content. And let's see what are the most epic origin stories in history.
Here are the most epic origin stories in history. Ashoka. It's the year 304
We are starting with an Indian king. Okay,
BC, and the
okay.
Mauryan Empire is welcoming a new royal child. Lovingly held by his mother, he's given the name Ashoka, and the emperor,
Great animations, by the way. Top tier animations. Love the video already.
a man named Bindusara, stands near
He definitely butchered that, but I'm not gonna correct it.
and gazes at this newborn. In this son, he sees a future of. Not much, really. See, the emperor already has another son named Tsushima, born from another one of his wives.
Tsushima.
And he's actually his choice to become his heir. To add to this,
The typical, the typical king and son, prince, or whatever dynamic.
Ashoka's mom was a commoner. Whoops! I mean, how did that happen? While Tsushima's was a noble. So,
Wait, were these in the history books? Because why do I feel like I skipped class? Like, I know I did not skip class. Why does this feel like I skipped class? Okay, now it should be good.
yeah, case closed here. But Ashoka is still a royal son, and he's given a royal upbringing. Time passes, Ashoka grows up, and boy,
Wait,
he does
so he do have like prince, what do they prince privilege? So he do be having prince privilege. So what's the epicness about this? I mean, I'm pretty sure I forgot about the histories. I learned about Ashoka and how he became a pacifist after conquering most of the lands. Like I can remember that part, but I can't like remember his upbringing. Or am I trying to nah? The only memory I have about Ashoka is him conquering till south. He conquered all of central India and few of North India, and by the time he reached south, he just stopped fighting and became a pacifist for some reason, for obvious reasons, because war was gone for too long that all he could see was blood and flesh of his own comrades and warriors in the battlefield. It's like a very emotional story, but like I don't think he was a son of a commoner. I mean, don't in the sense that I don't remember him as a son of a commoner who had a prince privilege. Okay,
look like he's turning out to be a huge disappointment. He's short, kind of fat, and is suffering
Ashoka being fat.
some
Okay,
sort of weird skin condition which
and he also has skin problems. Okay, this is very, very, very normal.
grosses his father out. Though he had already made up his mind that Tsushima was his guy, now he's certain. Ashoka is just way too ugly to be emperor.
Damn. So this is where the epic origin starts, huh? As a guy who was called ugly, like damn, by his own father, I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. Many people have called me ugly before, so I can definitely see the epic origin here.
I mean, come on, look at him. But what Ashoka lacked in looks, he made up for in charisma and intelligence.
Which again I lack in that field as well, man. I lack that as
And like
well.
most kids who know they're not the favorite, he grows to have a huge chip on his shoulder. He's schooled in all the things a royal son should learn, and once he's of age, his father begins to send him out to govern parts of his kingdom and to quell rebellions. Ashoka's first assignment was to govern the area of Ujjain, where he proved to be a master of governmental policy, and later he was put in charge of quelling rebellions
Okay, at least Ashoka had some brains, so that's the reason.
in
Okay,
Taxila, where
no wonder his name was like, I mean, obviously we have Ashoka Chakra. That's where the Ashoka Chakra comes from. It's from Ashoka's chakra, obviously. So that's where he became epic,
he
huh?
demonstrates a natural ability to command a military. It becomes obvious that Ashoka is talented enough to rule the empire, and this doesn't go unnoticed by the emperor's ministers. They try to tell the emperor, but their opinions don't really matter because Bindusara had already made up his mind. Sushima
Typical father, man. Typical king, man. Typical king.
was to be his heir. But in 273 BCE, the emperor falls
BC. Did he just say 273 BC? The fuck?
ill and is quickly on his deathbed. Tsushima is off fighting a rebellion, so he sends for him to return home quickly so he can be crowned emperor. But by this point in time, the ministers have decided they like Ashoka way better. They think Tsushima
Damn. Okay, so Ashoka was chosen by the people, huh?
is a spoiled brat, and they've watched Ashoka kill it, both governing and on the battlefield. So they lie to the emperor and say that Ashoka's sick and can't go, and that maybe he should just make Ashoka the emperor temporarily while he's waiting for Tsushima to return. The emperor's like, "Did I fucking stutter?" At which point, legend says Ashoka proclaims, "If the throne is rightfully mine, the gods will crown me as the next emperor." And just like that, Bindusara dies instantly and Ashoka is made emperor. How convenient.
Damn. That's very convenient. Ashoka just spawned there and the king dies. Like, yeah, like that's it. The king dies. And Ashoka was the king after.
When Tsushima returns back to the capital, he's led by the ministers into a trap and falls into a pit of charcoal and dies an agonizing death.
Bro, that's brutal even for a brother. Like, damn. Brother, he was just collecting, he was just doing his, he was just living, man. He had nothing to do with anything and they just burn him alive. That's brutal, man. Okay, the past is brutal, man. Holy shit. Didn't know ministers used to move like that.
Ashoka
Holy
then
damn
goes
shit.
off and kills every single one of his other brothers, except one he kinda liked, to ensure he would have no competition. And
So pretty much he killed all the other good candidates and left only the one who is not fit to be a king. I don't know, this kind of feels like a, Sasuke Itachi type dynamic. I don't know. I mean, I know Itachi left Sasuke because he was a brother, but again, Sasuke cannot defeat Itachi. That's a different whole topic. So I feel like this is also, related to that shit where Ashoka just left him, you know, Ashoka just left him because he's just his brother, I guess.
so, in 268 BCE, Ashoka is
Who? Who are you talking about, monkey?
crowned emperor, and he quickly proves all of his father's ministers were completely wrong and becomes an unhinged tyrant who rules with fear.
So he was a okay. Let me get this straight. Ashoka was a good guy, became a king, and his crown went to his head. I mean, like the good old saying, like head weight. You know, I don't know how to. Ego, hubris. His hubris grew, and then he just became a bully, I guess.
Fear and terror. His atrocities are too many to list, but here are some of his greatest hits. He once gave his ministers the impossible task to cut down every flowering or fruiting tree, and when they failed, he chopped off all their heads himself.
I'm just questioning my history books. No wonder these shits were not in my history books. Like these stuffs are brutal. Right now, I'm questioning my education. Like, okay, for sure, I know Ashoka almost conquered everything and he became a pacifist. But then these stuff are like, damn, it must have been the wind. Yeah.
Oh my god, we should have totally gone with sushi. This other time, while walking through a park with his concubines, he sees a beautiful Ashoka tree, which puts him in the mood for some afternoon delight. The concubines are so grossed out having to touch his gross skin that as soon as Ashoka fell asleep, they go and chop all the flowers off the tree to make sure it won't happen again, which I find
Oh, it physically hurts. Oh my god, that physically hurts me. Oh my god. Oh my god. Please tell me it's just a fiction. Please tell me it's just a story. Oh my god, that hurts. What do you mean they went out and then the girls, the ladies, made sure that it never happened ever again? Ooh, bro, he's the king, and that happens to him. Okay, I'm not gonna say it, but if that's the type of shit that happens to him on a regular basis, he might be on his villain arc. Like, he might have been on his villain arc. Damn, that shit's brutal. No wonder these shits are not in the history books, man.
Hilarious. But when Ashoka wakes up and finds out what they did, he has them all burned to death. And perhaps his PA
It still physically hurts me no matter what he did later. He was a bad king, bad stuff happened to him, and he proceeds to do the bad thing.
As the Resistance, he constructed a beautiful palace, which he then fills with the most evil torture devices imaginable: burning pits, fire chambers, molten metal for pouring down throats, spiked walls and ceilings for impaling, rotating blades for chopping off body parts, and iron hooks for hanging were all said to be found within the walls of this palace that's given the name
Just why? It's a palace. Like, what did Ashoka do?
Ashoka's
What was he doing?
Hell. No one who enters the palace ever comes out alive. It did evidently have a beautiful garden in front of it, though. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, why are you even talking about this psychopath anyway? Well, it's because, believe it or not, he's often referred to today as Ashoka the Great, one of the greatest and most beloved rulers in the history of India, and his redemption arc begins in 262 BCE. Ashoka has dreams of surpassing his grandfather and father, who had successfully grown the Mauryan Empire to encompass nearly the entire Indian subcontinent, modern-day
Except South India, of course. He couldn't conquer South India.
Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. For his first conquest, he sets his sights on the kingdom of Kalinga, an unconquered area located on the eastern coast of India that his grandfather had once tried to take, but failed. The Kalinga were a proudly independent people.
Nothing is nothing is epic in this, but it's like reading Berserk. Yeah, but Berserk, at least Guts didn't do shit like this. It's like reading Berserk, but you are reading Griffith's part. This isn't Guts part. You are reading from the perspective of Griffin, or however you pronounce his name.
People who had wealth, trading ports, and a well-trained military, and defeating them would be a great first step to show he'd surpassed.
It's like, it's weird because he was a normal guy who had a bad life, right? And then he became a king. So he took out his entire frustration and, like, his all, the shit that he experienced when he was a kid on, like, the poor people. And when people try to again, do the same shit as treat him ugly or treat him poorly, he again did the bad thing. So at this point, the morality compass is all fucked up, because what are you trying to, do here? Are you trying to be a good king, or are you trying to be a bad king? Are you trying to be a Thorfinn, or like are you trying to be Aaron Yeager? That's the whole morality. It's either Thorfinn or Aaron Yeager. To which, in my case, he went with the Aaron Yeager part. Okay, I feel like in his mind he might have justified what he was doing, but right now, as a like a guy who's reading this shit from, like, the books, or consuming this part of history, it feels like that's just torture.
His forefathers. So, Ashoka takes an army of 600,000 infantry, 30,000 cavalry, and 9,000 war elephants and attacks Kalinga with the entire might of the Mauryan Empire. The Kalinga, though heavily outnumbered, refused to surrender and fight bravely to the end in a desperate but ultimately failed attempt to defend their homeland. The war does
Yeah.
not last long, but is literal hell on earth, and the death and destruction are at levels unseen until World War II. The Mauryans win the war, but at a heavy cost, and when Ashoka goes to the battlefield to bask in his greatness, he's instead horrified by what he sees. The bodies of over 100,000 dead Kalinga soldiers litter the ground. Every step he takes is into a pool of festering blood. The stench of rotting flesh is unbearable, and the swarm of flies feasting on the
And that's it. Ever since then, he became a pacifist and, had a great life, I guess.
corpses is deafening. He sees women, young and old, searching for their husbands, their fathers, and their children amongst the rotting bodies. Some are unlucky enough to find their loved ones, and their howling cries burn Ashoka's ears. He was not the first nor the last ruler to be confronted by the harsh realities of
Wait, what category am I in? Like,
war, but in this moment, he's perhaps one of the few rulers in history who was filled with a deep sense of remorse. Was this the greatness he was seeking? Ashoka leaves the battlefield a changed man. He will no longer seek glory through war, and he invests himself wholly in the study of Buddhism. He begins to erect pillars throughout his kingdom with edicts on how he wishes for his people to live, peacefully, with respect for one another, no matter their cultural or
Ashok Pillar
religious
and Ashok
background.
Chakra.
For the
Man.
rest of his reign, he goes on no further conquest. His only goal was peace and the betterment of the lives of everyone living within his empire. He begins to use the empire's treasury to erect shelters for travelers, plant fruit-bearing trees along the main roads to feed the needy, and digs irrigation systems to provide clean water.
I don't think we are gonna game tonight, okay? I don't know. I'm not planning on game either. But maybe Wednesday I might download a game or I might play a couple of games. It's either Valorant or League, or I might just start a new game, a story game, a single player story game, and we might go through the story stuff. But not today. Today it's just chilling. If just chatting. Today's just chatting stream.
Water for everyone. Through his efforts, Moria grows prosperous and enjoys peace that lasts for decades. He funds Buddhist missions out of India in an attempt to foster world peace, and his efforts spreads the philosophy throughout Asia. When India regained its independence from British rule in 1947, Ashoka's chakra was chosen as the central icon of the country's flag.